Okay. This is a good time to open it up if anybody has any questions or comments. Surely somebody does. Susie.
I grew up across the street from Stan Durwood. His dad, Edward, lived across the street from us when I was a kid. He was a very, very nice kid. And he was older than I, but at any rate, our kids ended up in school in Penn Day in the same class. And we used to have to go to parents' weekend and play ball and stuff. Parents' time. At any rate, I'm sure he was very nice to you because he was a very nice guy.
But, she said but.
But he got my son fired at Homestead Country Club. My son was working part-time in high school as a busboy. And because he knew Stan, and Stan knew him, they were visiting, and my son sat down at the table where he was.
Oh.
Immediately fired.
Oh, so he was indirectly fired because of Stan.
It was Stan's fault for visiting. It wasn't Mike's fault. Anyway, and then you mentioned somebody else who was a family friend, and that's Jim Lance at WHB. What is it, WHB?
Jim Lance
Yes.
at
yes.
WHB.
Yeah. I used to take, my friends were duly impressed when I would take them down to WHB to visit, to the studio, when I was young. But I know that you and I are about the same age because I was born in 37.
37? Well, we don't have to do math.
The 87, the 1st of April.
87. 1st of April?
Cool.
No.
Huh, April Fools. Well, happy early birthday to you, Susie.
Where did you grow up?
Where'd you grow up?
I grew up on the east side of Kansas City, 23rd and Van Brunt Boulevard. I lived there, I was born in 1936, which makes me 87. I'll be 88 August 22nd. I do long-range forecasts for birthdays too. August 22nd is going to be 88. Thanks God, I went out south about 5 miles an hour.
My dad will be 98 on that day.
Wow.
Yeah, my dad will be 98 on that day.
98.
That's a great day. I had a very close friend, Cecil Taylor. He passed away a couple of years ago, but I met him at the racetrack back in about 1962 when I first started. We were very close friends for years and years and years and years, and finally I found out what his birthday was, August 22nd, same day as mine. As I'm writing how some dates come around, my good friend Leif Leisig, he does sports. Of course, we used to play golf quite a bit. We're great golfing buddies. We golfed for years and years and years and years. His birthday is November 18th. I lost my wife about a year and a half ago. Her birthday is November 18th. My older brother's wife's birthday was November 18th. Leif Leisig lost a sister when he was a child, and he visited her grave one day and was feeling a little sad, and he went out and visited her grave. Her birthday was August 22nd. That's mine. Cecil Taylor's birthday was August 22nd. It's just truly amazing how those numbers almost want to get you believing in astrology. It's truly
Almost.
amazing.
Any other questions? Rick in the back.
Sir, in your early days, you had some interesting jobs before you got into weather, TV, and sports. Weren't you a caddy, and didn't you work at a soda fountain?
Yeah. I worked at a Parkview drugstore. I remember Parkview drugstores. We had one over 24th and Van Brunt, 24th and Hardesty, about 2 blocks from my house. I was about 15 or 16, and always looking for work. I mean, back in those days, it seems like, I don't want to say about all the kids, but it seems like a lot of kids I know nowadays, they love to get out of work. Back in these days, we were looking to work because we wanted to make money. But in any case, so the guy that owned the manager of the Parkview drugstore, he saw me hanging around there all the time. He says, "You want to work?" I said, "Yeah, I'll work." He says, "You're going to make you a soda jerk." Well, what do I have to do? Hey, you put the pop here and make some cherry phosphate. I knew how to do it all because I'm in there eating all the time anyhow. So I started frying hamburgers and making malts and sodas and things like this. But there was one bad thing that I always thought Parkview did wrong. When they make the malts, they put them over here and they get shook up and they pour them in a glass and there's about that much left in there and they throw it away. Well, that's not right. I poured in a glass and they drink it. I said, here's some more, finish it off. Then my buddies, I actually start putting a little bit more in there and make them a little bigger. Well, you know, you gotta try to build business. So next thing, of course, I was allowed to eat lunch on company time because when you're working there, you don't get a lunch break. Well, I weighed about 230 at the time and I could weigh about 4 burgers just like that. And the general manager after the week came by, he says, you're fired, Broski. Why? He says, buying you lunch, he says, I can't afford to keep you here. He says, you're giving too much stuff away to your buddies. That was that. The other thing about the caddy, and I used to caddy at Blue Hills, and I caddied at a couple of their golf courses. One was State Meadow. And this guy I caddied for pretty regularly at State Meadows, his name was Al Morris. And you're always looking for a steady golfer. You want one that hits the ball straight, so you don't have to go down in the woods and try to find it all the time. You want a good golfer, somebody who shoots in the 70s. Find the ball easy, light bag, everything's good. So I find Al Morris, I said, be your steady guy. Yeah, you're my steady caddy. He says, this first week, he says, I'll give you $1.75 and I'll buy your lunch. Or I guess maybe I'll give you $2 1/4 and buy your lunch or something like that. So after 9 holes, I go in there, he says, bring me a ham salad sandwich and a Coke. And so I go in there and while I'm in there, I eat 3 ham salad sandwiches and drink a couple of malts and eat a piece of cherry pie. And I said, put it on Mr. Morris's bill. So here we are on 10th tee and he's eating this ham salad sandwich. He says, Chubb, he called me Chubb. I don't know why. Chubb, I'll take you home, but I gotta take care of my bill. So he goes in there and he comes out, we sit in the car, we're driving down 40 Highway. He says, Chubb, I got news for you. He says, next week, he says, I'm gonna give you $2.75 to buy your own damn lunch.
And both of those stories and so many more. Another shameless pitch. This book is $15, and I'm sure if you buy one today, Fred will be happy to sign it for you. I do have a Sharpie.
All right.
Any other, oh, Charlie, did you have a
I
question?
just have a comment, going back 70, 75 years, my favorite weather guy was Wally Phillips out of WGN in Chicago. Whether it's cold or whether it's hot, we're gonna have weather or not.
He was one of the great ones. I'll tell you a couple, we've had some pretty good guys here. Lezak is one who was really, really good. He's in retirement now. Matter of fact, I have a little thing I put on Facebook every day, and Lezak responded to that today. Gary and I have gotten fairly close over the last couple of years. We have a lot in common. And also, Dan Henry was one of my all-time favorites.
Yeah.
This guy's really hard to beat. But before I leave, I want to talk to you a little bit about weather forecasting itself. I never forecasted the weather. All I did was get the information from the Weather Service and try to convey it in the most pleasing and best way possible and informational way, not give too much information. Basically, that's what everybody does, because whether you're a meteorologist or just a straight announcer, you don't really make the weather. You get the information from NOAA, National Weather Service, Hurricane Center. It's their information, their computers comes to you. You figure out what to put on the air, and you put it on the air. But back in our day, when you guys were watching television in the 60s and 50s and even the 70s, the forecast, you noticed, they were wrong a lot. And you didn't blame the Weather Service, you blame us. And we're just giving what they tell you. But you'll notice now, in these last few years, weather forecasting has really improved. The reason it's improved because these new computers that they come out, these new models, it's really amazing how they damn near hit the nail on the head for the exact temperature. You know, they call for 61 or 62. I don't like to call 61 or 62 because it might be 61 in one place and 15 miles later it'd be 65. But if you're even in the general range, but I think that the Weather Service and our government and us, our taxes, have improved weather forecasting immensely, and especially in the severe storms area. Whenever the severe storms fire up, I really take notice, and I know you do too. I have 2 TVs side by side. I watch them both, and then of course if a tornado warning, I take cover. But if you have 2 TVs, it's good to watch them side by side. If it's daylight and a severe thunderstorm comes up, what do? All 4 stations do a pretty good job. But I'll tell you what I do on one of my 2 TV stations. I always have Johnny Rollins on there. He's in a chopper.
Yeah.
He's a pilot, he's smart, and he knows what he's talking about. So I always keep him on one of them, and then I scan the other guys on the other one. Sometimes the other guys have good stuff too, but I gotta have Johnny Rollins because Johnny, he flies down there and looks at it.
Yeah, that's cool.
And sometimes you see things that he has that other people don't have. That's my own personal recommendation to you.
Kind of tying into that, of the current weather people in the local market, who would you recommend? Who do you follow?
Well, I scan, I watch them all. They have a new guy, Luke Norris, or Doris, over at Channel 5. I really like him. I think he's really good. And they have a new guy over at 41, replaced Gary Lezak. I think he's good. Joe Loria, down at Channel 4. I saw him put a graphic on a couple of months ago that he pinpointed certain things and he made it so easy to understand, I couldn't resist it. I had to send him an email and say, great job. I mean, because it was just great communication. And of course, we all know Busby, he's easy to take anytime. And these guys excel when the severe weather hits. It's kind of like when you're on your first date, you get excited. Right? Remember? You get excited. You're looking forward to it, but you're not sure what's going to really happen. And that's sort of what the weather people do when the clouds build up out to the west. So it's the same thing. Everybody gets excited. The whole newsroom, it kicks up a notch. And it's fun to be around it. That's when it's really, really fun. Anytime there's breaking news in the newsroom, you'll love to be there because it's happened. The radio's over there. Police report such and such, that 75th of Metcalf, I-35 and Metcalf, this has happened, or something else. Oh, Independence has got something out here. It's fun to be a part of this when things are happening. A lot of bad things happen. That's the only downside of it, but you get kind of callous to some of the bad stuff that's happened. If you worked in a newsroom for a couple of years, you would probably never go out on St. Patrick's Day without a driver to bring you home. You need a driver to bring you home, and which is surprises me about a lot of the Chiefs players and other NFL players. You hear about them crashing and getting DWIs and all this kind of stuff. And Leaf and I have talked about this so many times. Guy making $8 million a year, and he goes out and buys a bunch of martinis. Wouldn't you think he'd have $50 for a Uber driver?
Yeah.
Hello.
Fred, I think the most appropriate way to close this is for you to remind everybody of your fail-safe generic weather forecast line that you use.
What's that?
Partly sunny, it's a forecast that is.
Well, people always say, can you tell me what the weather's going to be next Saturday? For partly cloudy with a slight chance of showers. Well, no matter what happens, you got it. Fair, partly cloudy with a slight chance of shower near normal temperatures. Well, just like people say, my birthday is going to be on September 27th. What's the weather going to be like? No problem. It's going to be about 61 degrees, light wind out of the northwest. Should be a beautiful day, slight chance of shower. Because we always have a slight chance of shower. What's it going to be on Christmas Day? Oh, it's going to be a little bit cooler. That's going to be 38. And the good thing is, you do it to senior citizens, they forget by the time we get there.
Let's give a big hand to Mr. Fred Broski. Fred, you're a joy, and honestly, there's so much more to his life, again, that's in this book. I've been out to this man's house. He is an artist. I don't know if you know that. He is an artist. When you go out to his house, you don't see walls. You see frames, abutting frames, that are the most gorgeous paintings. I didn't know that about Fred until we collaborated on this book. Quite an artist. And I won't even mention barbecue. When we were building the Heritage Center at the old King Louis 7 years ago, Fred knew that I was there in the evenings working with my daughter and her then boyfriend, trying to get this thing ready to open. This man would bring us brisket and ribs, and he fed us on 3 separate occasions, surprised us. Awesome, awesome. Fred, thank you for that. If I didn't thank you at the time, I need to thank you now. But he's a Renaissance man. And the wonderful thing is, he's hometown. He is still here. He's an Overland Park resident. And it's great. So Fred, again, thank you so much. We'll have to have you back again. Yes, ma'am.
I am familiar with your artwork, and I want to say you own the magic brush.
You own the magic brush. She's a big fan of your art.
It's easy. My painting is really easy. I paint semi-impressionistically, and I'm really not an artist. I just play with colors, and I've always wanted to do it, but I've been too busy trying to make a living, and now my schedule slowed down for a while there. I'm still pretty busy now, but there for about 20 years ago, I slowed down and I started playing with these colors, and if you just put blue here and put a little yellow there and mix it together, the green will come out. and you learn how to make a little bit of gray, and it's really so easy, but your first picture is going to be a whole lot, and then the second, and then as you go on, all you do is you take a picture over here, or you put a bouquet of flowers. I don't recommend doing a bouquet of flowers because they'll die before you get it finished. take a picture of them. But my kind of painting is very, very easy because I don't do a lot of blending. I do mostly heavy impasto type stuff. And anybody can do it. Believe me, anybody can do what I do, but you don't do it the first time. You have to kind of take it serious. It's like anything else. It's just like in radio. The first time you go on the air, you don't read the spot error-free, and you get a little better every time you do it. And it's the same way with the painting, and it's really, really fun. The only problem with painting, you get a little better, and you want to get better. Then you want to get better. Then you want to get better. And you never, ever get better. You do, but you don't get best. You're never, ever satisfied with what you do. That's part of inside you.
There's pictures of about 10 of his paintings in this book, so even if you want to just get an idea of the quality he does, thumb through one of the books before you walk out of here. All right, everybody, we need to wrap it up. We told the Legion we would be out of here absolutely no later than noon, including cleanup. So Fred's here if you want to come up and just say hello. If you want to buy a book, like I said, he'll be happy to sign it. Otherwise, thank you all for coming out today. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. I understand the weather's going to be pretty good all weekend, Fred.
60s today, 50s tomorrow, and 40s on Monday. Happy St. Patrick's Day.